Focus! 80% of medical studies are still conducted on male bodies, yet their conclusions are applied to women as if we're identical. Stranger still, a woman's brain can shrink up to 7% during pregnancy, then rewire itself in ways science still struggles to explain. So much of the female mind is measured with the wrong tools, interpreted through the wrong lens, or ignored entirely. And when a world misunderstands its women, what truths fall through the cracks? Today, we uncover them. You're watching Hrdy Wisdom, where deep ideas turn into sharp, life-changing insights. Subscribe and stay curious. To understand the psychology of women, we must walk through three lenses: the biological, the cultural, and the instinctual. Not one or the other, but all of them, layered like sediment, shaping experience. And our first path begins with the body, the hardware, the ancient blueprint. Number 1, the female brain, Louann Brizendine. Brizendine doesn't just describe the female brain, she walks us through its shifting seasons and hormonal weather. Puberty hits like a neurological storm, pregnancy reorganizes the mind overnight, and menopause reshapes emotional terrain with glacial patience. What does that mean in real life? Emotion isn't irrational, it's biological telemetry. Communication isn't overthinking, it's evolutionary attunement. Sensitivity isn't fragile, it's high-resolution social radar. And then comes her most striking idea, the mommy brain. A neural metamorphosis where some regions prune, others expand, and priorities snap into place as if evolution issued a new command: protect, perceive, persist. Memory may slip, but vigilance sharpens. Names vanish, but nuance glows brighter. The grocery list disappears, but the survival map lights up. A paradox, isn't it? To gain instinct, the mind temporarily trades convenience. For centuries, these shifts were dismissed as mood swings, hormones, or hysteria. Why? Because science tried to study women with tools designed for men. A dynamic blueprint forced into a static mold. Brizendine reframes all of it. The female brain isn't a fixed motherboard. It's adaptive architecture, living circuitry, the original biological multi-tool shaped over millennia. And once you see the biology clearly, a deeper question rises. What evolutionary story crafted something this intricate? Number 2, Mother Nature. Sarah Blaffer Hrdy. Hrdy doesn't just question the myth of the soft, selfless mother. She dismantles it with anthropology and evolutionary logic. Her message is uncomfortable but undeniable. Women were never passive in evolution. They were strategists, negotiators, architects of survival. For centuries, motherhood was painted in pastels. Hrdy repaints it in earth tones, fierce, adaptive, calculating. Not cold, not cruel, just real. Across species, she shows mothers making strategic trade-offs: feed or flee, nurture or negotiate, stay or survive. Suddenly, human motherhood, with all its complexity, makes evolutionary sense. Her biggest idea, alloparenting, rewrites everything. Humans didn't evolve like solitary tigers, we evolved like cooperative wolves. A child survived because many hands helped, because a woman's strength was her alliances, her social awareness, her ability to read the tribe. Alloparenting isn't a behavior, it's a blueprint. A reason women often excel at sensing intention, forming coalitions, detecting subtle threats. So why do we dismiss relational intelligence as overthinking? Why call strategic vigilance anxiety when it once kept our species alive? Here's the contrast. We praise nurturing, yet punish strategy. We celebrate the selfless mother, yet ignore the self-protective, child-protective, future-protective mother evolution actually shaped. Hrdy's drumbeat is clear: motherhood is not martyrdom. Motherhood is management, a negotiation with nature. From that negotiation arises the real female psyche. Not docile but discerning, not compliant but cunning, not soft but strategic. She places women back at the center of evolution, co-authors and co-directors of survival. And once we see that the female mind was forged in the wild, we start to see its intelligence everywhere, in intuition, empathy, networking, vigilance. Hrdy leaves us with one question. If this is the evolutionary truth, how much modern female behavior is actually ancient strength misunderstood? Number 3. This is your brain on birth control, Sarah E. Hill. Hill doesn't just say the pill changes hormones, she argues it changes the very lens through which women see the world. Not symbolically, biologically, behaviorally, psychologically. When you mute the natural hormonal cycle, that ancient monthly symphony, you aren't just quieting fertility. You're quieting personality, preference, perception. So Hill asks the question society avoids: what happens when millions of women live with brain chemistry evolution never prepared them for? The pill flattens the hormonal tides that once shaped attraction, intuition, stress, and social awareness. When the tide no longer moves, what shifts inside a woman? Who does she choose when her compass points slightly differently, and what happens when it points back later? This leads to Hill's most provocative idea, the mate choice shift. Natural cycles tend to draw women toward partners whose scent, immune systems, and subtle behaviors complement their own. Under synthetic hormones, those preferences can flip, the wild becomes safe, the complementary becomes simply comfortable. Result? Many women choose supportive, stable partners while on birth control, then feel something off when they come off it years later. Did love change, or chemistry? Hill pushes further into stress, ambition, and motivation. Synthetic hormones can shift stress responses, soften some instincts, heighten others. So what happens to drive? To creativity? To confidence? If hormones are the body's original algorithms, what happens when we override them? Her contrasts are sharp, natural cycles sharpen nuance. Synthetic cycles favor stability. Natural cycles spark exploration. Synthetic cycles lean toward caution. Neither is good or bad, but the difference is profound. Her metaphor lands hard. The natural hormonal brain is a 4-season climate, shifting, expressive, alive. The synthetic hormone brain is permanent summer, stable and predictable, but missing its winter reset and spring surge. Hill isn't anti-pill. She's pro-informed choice. She wants women to understand the psychological impact of something they may take for decades. Because how many life choices, partners, careers, identities, were made under a chemically altered sky? And the final question lingers. If the pill can shift who a woman wants, can it also shift who she becomes? Number 4. Delusions of Gender, Cordelia Fine. Fine doesn't just critique gender stereotypes, she detonates them. Where others quietly claim boys' brains are like this and girls' brains are like that, she asks the uncomfortable question. What if these differences aren't natural, but manufactured? Her core argument is bold. The female mind is not destiny, it is design. Designed by culture. Designed by expectation. Designed by the invisible instructions whispered to girls from birth. Her main target, neurosexism, the misuse of neuroscience to justify old assumptions. We're told women talk more, care more, empathize more because the brain is built that way. But Fine shows the data. Girls' scores change based on who is watching. Confidence shifts when tests feel gendered. Performance rises or falls with a single stereotype. So is a girl's math ability in her neurons? Or in the narrative surrounding her? Her contrasts strike hard. Biology gives us structure, culture writes the story. The brain is hardware, gender norms are the software updating it. Wiring shapes potential, experience shapes expression. A child given dolls learns one skill set, a child given telescopes learns another. Give her permission and she expands. Give her limits and she contracts. Fine's big question echoes: how many gender differences are self-fulfilling prophecies? How many female traits are really cultural assignments? How many male strengths were nurtured while the female equivalents were ignored? She also exposes scientific bias, studies built by men, interpreted by men, tested mostly on men. It's like measuring women with a ruler designed for someone else. Her metaphors cut deep. Gender norms are mental graffiti, invisible chains disguised as bracelets. Scripts we memorize before we can speak. Her drumbeat lands. Not biological, cultural. Not fixed, flexible. Not destiny, design. Fine doesn't claim men and women are identical. She claims the differences are exaggerated, misread, or culturally constructed. Her final message is a mirror. If girls are taught their voices matter less, do they grow quieter? If they're expected to be passive, do they internalize compliance? And the haunting inverse. If we change expectations, do we change the mind? Fine leaves us with one destabilizing insight. The brain isn't born gendered, the world makes it so. Number 5. The beauty myth, Naomi Wolf. Wolf doesn't simply expose the beauty industry, she reveals a psychological trap wrapped in glamour, a velvet cage lined with mirrors. As women gained power in education, work, and politics, society didn't relax, it relocated its control to the body. Not through laws, not through force, through expectation. Her most haunting insight, the more power women gained, the more pressure they felt to be perfect. Perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect body. A perfection that moves like a mirage, always out of reach. Why? Because chasing the impossible keeps women busy, anxious, and self-doubting. A mirror that never says enough is the most efficient distraction ever invented. Wolf calls this burden the third shift. After paid work and domestic work comes endless beauty work, plucking, painting, polishing, perfecting. A shift so normalized we barely recognize the labor. A shift that drains ambition and ties self-worth to appearance. She argues beauty standards aren't natural trends, they're engineered by industries that profit from insecurity, cosmetics companies, surgeons, fashion houses. The architects of inadequacy. Her questions slice cleanly. If beauty is a choice, why does it feel like a duty? If it's expression, why does it demand so much labor? If it's empowerment, why does opting out feel like rebellion? The contrast is sharp. Women have more external freedom than ever, yet face more internal policing than ever. Rights expand publicly, but confidence erodes privately. Wolf's metaphors hit deep, beauty as currency women buy with confidence. Beauty as a moving target meant to exhaust. Beauty as a silent supervisor, policing women even when alone. She exposes the pattern. Standards shift exactly when women get close to power. Thinner as women grow stronger, younger as women age, more sexualized as women gain independence. Not coincidence, design. The core question, who profits when women doubt themselves? The answer is clear, not women. Because self-surveillance becomes self-silencing. Because obsession becomes oppression. Because a woman can't lead boldly while shrinking herself. Because you can't start a revolution on an empty stomach. Wolf's final truth lands hardest. The beauty myth doesn't demand beauty, it demands compliance. It doesn't want women to feel perfect, it wants them to feel imperfect. Not because they are, but because insecure people are easy to manage. But once you see the trap, you can step out. You can see the mirror as a mirror, not a measurement of worth. Number 6. Rage becomes her, Soraya Chemaly. Chemaly doesn't just acknowledge women's anger, she legitimizes it. She argues women aren't angry because they're too emotional, they're angry because they're not allowed to be. And that silencing becomes its own form of harm. She exposes the core contradiction: women are expected to care, but not confront. To nurture, but not name the wound. To be patient, but never powerful. So she asks, what happens to a society that forces half its population to swallow their rage? Her answer is brutal. Suppressed anger doesn't vanish, it metastasizes into anxiety, depression, physical pain, autoimmune disorders, and a gradual erosion of the self. Chemaly breaks down the anger competence paradox. When men get angry, they look strong. When women get angry, they look unstable. Same emotion, same volume, different consequences. Because culture pairs anger with authority, and women aren't granted authority. Her contrasts are sharp. Men's anger signals control, women's anger signals chaos. Men's anger earns respect, women's anger earns reprimand. Men's anger is leadership, women's anger is liability. But her radical message is this: anger isn't the barrier to women's power, it's the doorway to it. The first boundary, the first truth, the first refusal to endure what's unacceptable. She gives us a striking metaphor: suppressed anger as a dam. Every microaggression adding pressure. When the dam cracks, women aren't exploding, they're finally expressing. Chemaly reveals how girls are trained early to turn anger into sadness, injustice into apology, rage into self-blame. So she asks, what if sadness is just anger with nowhere to go? Girls learn the script: loud equals too much, assertive equals mean, ambitious equals aggressive. So they shrink, edit, soften, until the performance becomes identity. Her repetition hits like a drum, not overlooked because they're emotional, but emotional because they're overlooked. Not fragile, but forced to be forgiving. Not overreacting, but overruled. Chemaly tracks anger through a woman's entire life. The silenced girl, the talked-over employee, the blamed mother, the dismissed older woman. Different ages, same message: don't disrupt the peace, even if you're the one paying the price. She reframes anger as information. Anger says this isn't safe. Anger says this isn't fair. Anger says this cannot continue. Ignoring women's anger means ignoring society's early warning system. Her most provocative claim: a society that fears female anger fears female power. Because anger is clarity. Anger is boundary. Anger is the spark of change. Chemaly's final truth lands hard. Women's anger isn't the problem, the world's reaction to it is. And when a woman stops apologizing for her anger, she stops apologizing for her existence. Number 7. Reviving Ophelia, Mary Pipher. Pipher doesn't just describe the struggles of adolescent girls, she documents their disappearance, the fading of bold, confident children into conflicted, self-doubting teenagers. She asks us to remember the girl who once climbed, argued, laughed loudly, and notice how, between ages 11 and 15, she begins to shrink. Why does her voice dim just as her mind sharpens? Why does confidence collapse right when complexity begins to bloom? Pipher names the culprit: the girl-poisoning culture, a toxic mix of pressure, perfectionism, prettiness, and performance. A world demanding girls be bright but not intimidating, ambitious but not aggressive, attractive but not too much. Contradiction becomes their curriculum: be confident but not loud. Be kind, but don't set boundaries. Be perfect, but don't look like you're trying. Be yourself, but only the parts we approve. How can a girl thrive in soil this toxic? Pipher shows adolescence as the birth of the false self, a persona crafted to avoid ridicule and rejection. The real self retreats underground while the polished self takes the stage. The public face smiles, the private self struggles. The psychological toll is heavy: anxiety, depression, self-harm, eating disorders. Not because girls are fragile, but because expectations are impossible. Her metaphors land softly but cut deep. The adolescent girl is a house under renovation, torn apart and rebuilt at once. She is a radio with the volume too high, feeling everything. She is a mirror maze of media, seeing endless versions of who she should be and almost none of who she is. Pipher's refrains become warnings. Not weak, overwhelmed. Not dramatic, drowning. Not disobedient, desperate. Not broken, pressured beyond belief. She reveals a truth we rarely confront. Girls don't lose their voices because they run out of things to say. They lose them because the world stops listening. Teachers call on boys more. Peers judge girls more. Media sexualizes them more. Parents worry more and trust less. So the bold girl becomes the cautious teen. The joyful girl becomes the anxious young woman. The outspoken girl becomes the apologetic adult. But Pipher insists, this decline is not inevitable. Girls can be revived. Authenticity can be restored. The true self can return if the environment changes. Her core question lingers. Who might a girl become if she never had to trade authenticity for approval? And she leaves us with quiet, stubborn hope, because saving Ophelia isn't about rescuing one girl. It's about rescuing a generation's voice. Number 8. Come As You Are, Emily Nagoski. Nagoski doesn't just explain female sexuality, she rescues it from decades of shame, confusion, and male-centric myths. She begins with a radical truth: women aren't low desire. They aren't broken, they aren't complicated. They are contextual. Desire isn't a drive like hunger, it's a response, a rhythm shaped by the body and the environment. Change the context, and desire changes with it. So she asks the question almost no one asks. Is the woman truly low desire? Or is her life full of breaks? Her core model, the dual control system, becomes the book's foundation. Every woman has an accelerator that responds to turn-ons, and a brake that reacts to stress, fear, distraction, pressure, or shame. Most women don't have weak accelerators, they have overactive brakes, too many worries, too many deadlines, too much shame, too many expectations. Desire doesn't disappear, it gets buried. Nagoski's analogies are clarifying. Desire isn't a spark plug, it's a campfire needing shelter. Not a switch, but a set of conditions. Not lost, simply masked by stress. Her refrains reset the narrative: not dysfunctional, distracted. Not cold, constrained. Not uninterested, uncentered. Not unloving, overloaded. Then comes her second breakthrough: responsive desire. Many women don't feel desire before intimacy, they feel it during intimacy. Not lightning, sunrise. Slow, steady, warm. But because culture idolizes spontaneous desire, women wrongly assume something is wrong with them. Nagoski answers simply: you're not broken, you're responsive. She also confronts sexual shame, shame taught by families, schools, religion, media. Shame that keeps the brake pressed down for years. Shame that whispers, don't want too much. Don't feel too much. Don't be too much. How can desire grow in a body treated like a battlefield? How can pleasure flourish in a mind trained to police itself? It can't, not until the brake lifts. Her metaphors soften the entire subject. Pleasure is a garden, not a race. Arousal is a duet, not a solo. Intimacy is an ecosystem, not a performance. And research reveals the real key to satisfying sexuality: not technique, but emotional safety, stress reduction, self-compassion. What if the problem was never the body, but the world around it? Not libido, but life? Not effort, but exhaustion? Nagoski's conclusion is liberating. Women don't need to fix their desire. They need to understand it, honor it, de-shame it, and unburden it. Because when the brakes release, the accelerator works exactly as it was designed to. Number 9. Women Who Run with the Wolves, Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Estes doesn't analyze myths, she awakens them. She argues that every woman carries a force older than culture itself: the wild woman, the instinctual self, the intuitive compass, the original blueprint before the world rewrote her. So where did she go? Why did she vanish? Estes answers with her defining metaphor: the wild woman wasn't lost, she was buried. Buried under politeness. Buried under performance. Buried under centuries of being told to be quiet, small, safe. She asks, how can a woman trust her intuition if she's taught to distrust herself? How can she follow instincts if she's punished for having them? How can she reclaim her wildness when the world rewards her for hiding it? The stories she unearths, Bluebeard, La Loba, the Skeleton Woman, aren't fables. They're maps for recovering stolen parts of the psyche. Her most chilling idea is the predator of the psyche, the inner voice that whispers, don't try. Stay small. Be grateful. Don't want more. It feeds on fear, erodes intuition, and devours creativity. And it doesn't always come from trauma, it often comes from culture, conditioning, and good behavior. Her contrasts sharpen the truth: the wild woman creates, the predator kills creativity. The wild woman trusts instincts, the predator mocks them. The wild woman moves toward freedom, the predator pulls toward fear. Then Estes calls for a return, a reclamation of the intuitive self. Her metaphors feel like ancient spells. The wild woman is a river, dammed, not dried. A wolf, hunted, not gone. A drumbeat, muffled, still pulsing. She asks, what would a woman's life look like if she trusted her first instinct instead of her fifth doubt? What would she create if she stopped censoring herself before beginning? What choices would she make if she no longer feared her power? She shows how women lose their wildness through relationships that teach them to mistrust intuition, workplaces that reward compliance, families that prize appearance over authenticity, cultures that sexualize youth and dismiss wisdom, religions that sanctify obedience and demonize wildness. Yet the wild woman survives, in flashes, in longing, in gut feelings, in dreams. She returns when women write, dance, sing, create, leave, listen, refuse, rebuild. Este's repetition becomes incantation, not tamed, trapped. Not broken, buried. Not delicate, dormant. Not weak, waiting. Her final truth is primal. A woman is never more powerful than when she returns to her instincts. Instinct is insight. Intuition is intelligence. Wildness is wisdom. And once the wild woman rises, no culture, no critic, no predator, internal or external, can silence her again. Number 10. Invisible Women. Caroline Criado Perez. Perez doesn't just present statistics, she exposes a global design flaw, a world built around one default human, and it isn't women. She reveals the invisible architecture of daily life, chairs, medicines, safety gear, streets, systems, all created with male bodies, male data, and male norms as the standard. Women aren't living in a neutral world, they're living in a world where neutrality was defined without them. So she asks, if the world wasn't built for women's bodies, how much of their discomfort and danger isn't personal at all, but environmental? She exposes the default male everywhere, medical trials run on male bodies, workplaces designed for male height and strength, phones sized for male hands, car safety tests using male crash dummies, medication dosed for male metabolism. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Women are injured more in car crashes, not poor driving, but male-designed safety. Women freeze in offices, not sensitivity, but male-based thermostat formulas. Women's pain is dismissed, not exaggeration, but male-centered medical models. Again and again, she asks, how do you thrive in a world that doesn't see you? How do you trust your instincts when discomfort is labeled imagined? How do you succeed in systems calibrated for someone else's physiology? Her contrasts slice through the myths. Women aren't too cold, the environment is mismeasured. Not too small, the equipment is misdesigned. Not overreacting, the data is incomplete. Not complicated, the world is unfinished. Her metaphors strike hard. The world is a suit tailored for someone else, and women are told to alter themselves. A stage with missing steps, and women are blamed for stumbling. A map missing half its landmarks, and women are told they're lost. The result is constant microdissonance, seats too big, tools too long, tech too heavy, a daily hum of being wrong or out of place. A quiet erosion of confidence from systems that never accounted for them. She shows the emotional cost too. Women feeling unsafe are labeled paranoid, in streets lit for male stride and sight. Women unheard in meetings are labeled quiet, in norms set by male groups. Women misdiagnosed are labeled anxious, in medicine built on male symptoms. Her refrain becomes undeniable, not personal failure, design failure. Not female oversensitivity, data oversights. Not women misfitting the world misfitting women. Then Perez flips the narrative with one piercing insight: women are not the problem, the data gap is. When half the population is excluded from research and design, their lives become daily improvisation, negotiating an environment that treats them as anomalies. And she asks the ultimate question: what would the world look like if women were included from the start, not as exceptions, but as defaults? The answer: safer, smarter, fairer, more complete. Perez leaves us with a truth that reframes everything. You cannot understand the female mind without understanding the world it's forced to navigate. A world built on missing data creates missing possibilities. But once the invisible becomes visible, the world can finally be rebuilt. So what do these 10 books reveal? That the female mind is not one thing, not biology alone, not culture alone, not myth, not hormones, not stories. It is all of it, a fusion of instinct and expectation, design and distortion, power and pressure. A mind built in layers, some ancient, some imposed, some reclaimed. The invisible half was never actually invisible. It was simply unexplained, simplified, ignored, softened until it lost its edges. But when we read these authors, the edges return. The complexity sharpens. The full human story unfolds. Because understanding the female mind is not about decoding women, it's about completing the map of humanity. So stay curious, stay aware, and keep looking for what the world forgets to show you. You're watching Hrdy Wisdom, where ideas stay human even in the noise. Subscribe and stay curious.